Now, y'all know Lifetime is literally hit or miss when it comes to these bios, so I wasn't expecting much, but Miss Wendy Williams, you kind of did that. No shade there. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Rewind with Kenya. If you're new to here, welcome to my channel. I cover bios, movies, entertainment, music, and everything within the culture. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already and like this video. So I was working on two other videos and I came across the Wendy Williams movie right on time. This is a 2021 Lifetime original movie that Wendy actually helped to produce. And having the person who's actually the focus of the movie be involved helps to give the story some credibility. Or does it? You can be the judge. I really think that's from person to person to say, because how much do you trust the narrator? So I have to say that I actually liked the tone of this bio. It was funny, not all through it, because it definitely had some moments that were some more traumatic situations. But the tone overall, it had some humor to it. And I like that because it shows her not trying too hard, but also being informative for people who aren't, familiar with her, even though she's someone who's been in the public eye for 3 decades now. I also like that I could easily recognize the key people. The young lady playing Wendy Williams does a nice job of imitating her voice and her gestures. Like, she doesn't feel like she fully becomes her, but it does feel like you can connect with her as Wendy Williams. So I really enjoyed that part. Like, as far as the costumes, the wigs, and even the settings, it feels pretty authentic to the time of the movie, which is also important to me. Like, when you're watching a bio, like if it's the 70s, don't pull out an iPhone. That is so annoying. And in a movie that I was watching, that I started doing a video on, that was a big issue for me. But all right, let's get into it. So the movie opens with Wendy on the set of her show, the Wendy Williams show, and she's the narrator throughout the movie, which is really great. And she asks here, what's going on with Wendy? Like, that's the question everyone wants to know, because this is at the time when she was having a lot of public kind of meltdowns, essentially. I guess you could say that. But, some things were going on that were in the public eye. So then she flashes back to her childhood. And this part gives like an immediate insight into the mindset of Wendy Williams, in my opinion. From the issues with her body image that stem from her parents and family blatantly telling her she needs to lose weight, to her having trouble making friends, to her mother insinuating like she's a troublemaker and she talks too much. Like, when you're watching this part, you do feel bad for the young Wendy Williams. Like, she seemed extremely lonely, and like the way that people were talking to her, it didn't feel well. So she skips a few years, which is cool with me, because we don't really need every single step of your life if it doesn't really give to the story at hand. She's working for a local radio station, but she has like big ambitions from the very beginning. And I like how she subtly, like, she puts in the shade of how Kathy Hughes was allegedly treating her as she was on the come up. And if you aren't familiar, Kathy Hughes is a legend in the radio and entertainment industry as like a woman, as a black woman, and an icon. But Wendy is also pretty transparent when it comes to her co usage at this time. So if you know what I mean. And to me, when you're willing to really expose and be honest about your own demons, it's easier to empathize with the character and to really see like, okay, you're going through some shit. And I think that was really important, especially with a complex person like Wendy Williams, because she's kind of one of those people who's hate it or love it. Like, I know a lot of people who loved her show. They're like, I love Wendy Williams, and people who absolutely hate her because of how she's expressed her views. So she did an interview with an R&B singer, and tragically he ends up dating her. And she goes on in real life later to allege that this was the R&B singer Sherrick. I wasn't familiar with him, but he's deceased now, and his widow denied the claims as if she was there. But, I wasn't either, so I don't know the story. But anywho, she talked about the rise of AIDS at that time and the importance of being tested after the event, which I like that she touched on that. She also talks about casually dating and having a few associates, but no close friends besides her growing habit. She ends up landing a job in New York, and this is her dream, but it doesn't last long because she gets fired. One thing for sure, though, like, Wendy is on a mission. Like, she said she was never out of work more than 2 weeks in her adult life, and she got an even better job after filling in for her idol, Carol Ford. So she gets this gig, and instantly she starts telling the gossip from the tabloids that she picked up while she was waiting. And it's hilarious how she read an article and she went straight to the radio. It was like no verification, just boom. Milli Vanilli exposing them. And the program director is like, hold on now, we don't do all that here. But she's like, the listeners need to hear it. And she ends up getting a full-time gig, like, just like that. It was so fast. So her new life is lit now. Like, she's really enjoying it. She starts dating the hip-hop legend Eric B, if you're familiar with Eric B and Rakim. Unfortunately, this relationship also goes south, and she alleges that he took her car for an extended period of time, and then he ran off with a rental that was in her name and ruined her credit. Like, it was messy. And he clapped back after this movie came out, if you all were watching the tabloids, and if you weren't, all the gossip blogs, and he disputed this claim. I believe the Jasmine brand had posted that, like, initially. He was like, nah, I had a car. He like, that wasn't me. And Twitter was going crazy about it too, because I don't think a lot of people were aware that they had even dated. So it was like, what? Wendy Williams and Eric B. So she also found out she was pregnant as this relationship ended. She said it lasted, what, a year? But she decided to terminate that pregnancy. And so she got over that relationship. And she said that she was married 5 months to someone else, but she doesn't show the details on screen. Like, girl, no, show us. Who is this mystery husband? I have to do my research. So while she's at the club and she's out, doing her thing, she meets Kevin. And that is her now ex-husband, because they did go in and get married. But sometimes he's Kelvin. I really don't know. But she met him, wasn't initially interested because she's like, he wasn't really her type. But then they just had like a deep connection, and she falls in love pretty hard. And you could tell that even when this was made and they were going through their things, which have been pretty public, that she had a deep love for Kevin. And I think she still does, in the way that she kind of portrayed the character in the relationship. And she said that even though the relationship was difficult, like, he had a way to reach her. And it seemed like he did get really into being a support system for her as far as her business. So it feels like there's like some parts of the career that are missing, because we kind of like skip around, especially like pre 9/11 stuff. But they do show when Total came to check her at the studio, and when she was talking about Whitney Houston, they didn't show the part when she was like, Whitney Houston was going in on her on the radio. She was just saying like, I love Whitney Houston. But, don't talk about Auntie Whitney. So Kevin starts cheating almost immediately after she has a baby. And that seems pretty traumatic too, because she had 2 back-to-back miscarriages. And once she was pretty far along, about 5 months. So that's really, that's mentally damaging also, or traumatic. And so he was cheating, and it's crazy. They include this like depiction of Charlemagne the God. And because, he used to work with Wendy Williams. And he was saying like he knew who Kevin's alleged side chick was at that time. He's like, yeah, that's the lady. What's her? Sharina. He knew her from where they lived, like growing up or whatever. And this is now allegedly his child's mother and partner to this day. So Kevin has been putting Wendy through the ringer, like with the cheating. She had a private investigator following him, taking pictures, like a lot of drama with that. And the drama seemed to really take a toll on her mentally. She showed her like drinking a lot when she was going through it. And it took away, even though she was still building her show and she was building on everything that she was doing on the radio. It's not like it was taking away her focus on it from everything, because she was really consumed with that. But then she tried to get unconsumed with it and get into, just focusing on the business. They end up going back after she had been in Philadelphia working on the radio, going back to New York. She was really excited to get the job there. He's still cheating, but she thought it was a chance to start their new life. She ends up getting a call about a show, and it was an interesting point in there because Kevin was like, you get calls all the time about a show, but you're not doing a show unless it's your show. And he was really adamant, like controlling on that part, that, he was making decisions for her career. And so she ends up getting finally a call that is the right call for them. And she does get her own show, which we know is the Wendy Williams show. But again, the cheating has like ramped up, and he has a whole house with his side chick. So she goes to visit the house, and it gets vandalized because she writes Kevin and Wendy forever out on the garage door, and he goes off like, my neighbor saw that. It was that part, I probably would have lost my shit. Like, you're my husband. You have used money from my work to go and buy your side chick a house with a pool. Like, because that's what she was like, it's a pool in here. They had a dog, and he was mad at her for vandalizing it versus him being accountable for him cheating. Like, some bullshit. When I was watching that part, I felt bad for her on that part. So she is having more and more troubles with drinking. He accuses her of using again because he was really familiar with her habit. And she said when she met him, like, he was not okay with it, but he knew about it and he didn't really make a big deal about it, which I think is something else that she found comfort in, that she could still do her thing without him like judging her. But in the end, it kind of backfired because he was using it against her. Like, you had a habit, maybe you're using again. And so she ends up, after her collapse on TV, which was a big story, she ends up going into a rehab facility. But while in the rehab, he had made the recommendation that she doesn't use her phone, doesn't have any access to tabloids or anything. She ends up getting them from someone in there, of course, and sees the articles where his side chick is pregnant. And like, she is upset. I would have been heartbroken, but she was like so upset. And she's asking, she didn't want to lose her show. That was a big thing for her because this was a big moment. You get your own talk show. A lot of women don't, a lot of people in general, but a black woman to get her own talk show, that's not a big thing that everyone can do. So she was really adamant about not losing her show, and he still was working behind the scenes and doing everything. She ends up getting out of the facility, but she's still kind of being in control. And it seems like he kind of had the handlers on her. Like, she can't do this, she can't do that. She needs to go to the sober house immediately after the filming of the show and back. She was like on a limit there. And so this is wearing on her because he is living just a few miles from her with his side chick, and they're like living it up while she's in this little sober house that was pretty janky looking. So she ends up getting out. She makes the direct note to the staff at the show, he is off of the show, like, it's over with. And then the movie kind of glosses over some things that have been in the media. And of course, this is Wendy's story, so she knows the insides of it. But it kind of just like goes to like, well, everything worked out well. And as you can see now from different headlines, things are still kind of all over the place with Wendy. She does do an ending where she talks to the camera and she's saying, if it wasn't for certain things happening in my life, I wouldn't be here right now, which I didn't really like that part. And that's just my personal opinion. It just felt a little cringy because it still seems like she may not be in the best place. And while it was great for her to get to tell her own story, I just would have rather her tell it on a note that really seemed like she was in a really positive, happy place and able to tell this story from a place of, I learned some lessons here, yeah, but this is where I am now. And I don't know, the ending just was kind of like, it's more a little sad for me because things are still going on. It's still so relevant. So overall, it's not the best bio, but it's definitely way better than that DeBar story. It's better than even the Mahalia story I watched recently that I'm going to do a video on. So I don't give it like a super low grade, but I will say that there were some parts, we could have dealt with another narrator possibly, or dealt with some other sides of the story. Because although she didn't make herself look perfect, I just feel like it was some little details missing. I would have liked to see some more, maybe of her family included, some other people maybe who were around her. But overall, I think it does give insight into who Wendy Williams is and her real story. So I would recommend it. Give it a try for yourself. Check it out. If you have watched it, let me know in the comments of what you thought of it. Let me know if you agree with some of my views on it, or if you thought like, it was missing some stuff. Like, I really want to know, especially about all her drama that she had going on when she was in the radio in New York, and all the like executives. I heard like Puffy was after her at one point. I want to hear your side. Let me know what you think. Make sure to comment. Make sure to like this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll be back soon with another video. Okay, bye.